Picture this. It's evening, you're sitting with a warm cup of tea, just unwinding, and right in front of you, a whole flock of birds glides across the sky in that lazy, effortless V shape they always do. Tomorrow, you've got a 13-hour flight ahead of you, finally starting your vacation. And if you're being honest, you're already dreading it. The middle seat, the turbulence, that mystery smell 3 rows back that nobody claims. And right there, tea in hand, watching those birds just cruise by without a boarding pass in sight. One thought pops into your head. What if I could just fly there myself? Stick with me. Because once you actually think this through, it gets way weirder and honestly way funnier than just skipping airport security. Let's start with the boring, obvious stuff, because it's actually the least boring part. The entire airline industry gone, basically overnight. No more airports, no more overpriced airport sandwiches, no more standing in line behind someone arguing about carry-on size like it's a courtroom trial. Frequent flyer miles would become worthless overnight, which honestly might be the most tragic part of this entire hypothetical for some people. If humans could just flap over to another country themselves, planes become a novelty, like riding a horse to work. Some companies would probably pivot fast, selling premium flying gear instead of plane tickets. But a whole industry built around getting you off the ground basically becomes pointless. Security lines disappear too, though honestly, someone's definitely inventing a no-fly zone pat-down for people just floating past customs anyway. And naturally, humans being humans, we'd immediately turn it into a sport. Flight racing would become massive, probably bigger than football within a decade, because nothing gets people excited faster than watching other people go dangerously fast while everyone at home yells at their screen. There'd be leagues, rivalries, probably some overpaid athlete getting a sponsorship deal for a specific brand of goggles. Referees would need their own set of wings just to keep up, and somebody's definitely getting a penalty for excessive celebration mid-air. Schools would add flight studies as an actual subject, right next to math and gym class, complete with a required uniform. And somewhere out there, a kid is definitely getting docked points for sloppy takeoff form, while their parents insist the teacher's just too strict. Learning to fly would probably replace learning to drive as the big scary teenage milestone. Except instead of nervously parallel parking while your dad grips the door handle, you'd be nervously hovering 3 feet off the ground while he grips absolutely nothing, because there's genuinely nothing to grip up there, and that's somehow worse for everyone involved. Okay, but here's where it gets genuinely interesting, because so far we've just been talking about the fun stuff. Let's talk about what this would actually do to your body, because humans can fly sounds like a superpower, but biologically it's a nightmare wearing a cape. First, just physically pulling this off. Birds are built for this. Hollow bones, huge chest muscles built specifically for flapping, a whole body designed around being light and aerodynamic. You are not that. You are a bag of dense bones, organs, and mild regret from skipping the gym last week. For a human body to actually generate enough lift to fly under its own power, something in the basic architecture would have to change pretty dramatically. Lighter bones, way bigger chest and shoulder muscles. Probably a completely different body shape than what you're working with right now. Basically, think of the difference between a paper airplane and a real one. One's light and simple by design. The other's just a heavy metal tube we had to strap engines onto because it was never going to glide on its own. So the honest, simple version is this isn't really humans learn to fly. It's closer to a very different creature that still happens to think and talk like us. But let's just roll with it for fun and pretend we get some magic upgrade that lets current, regular you take off from your backyard. Suddenly, fitness becomes a survival skill, not just a New Year's resolution you abandon by February. Being unfit wouldn't just mean struggling to climb stairs anymore, it'd mean struggling to stay airborne, which is a considerably more dramatic way to find out you skipped leg day. Then there's the sun. You'd be spending way more time way higher up, closer to the sun, with way less stuff between you and the UV rays than you get standing on the ground. Sunburn wouldn't just be a beach problem anymore, it'd be an everyday commute problem. Sunscreen companies would go from a seasonal business to basically printing money year round, probably running ads specifically targeted at people who fly to work. And higher altitude means thinner air, colder temperatures, and your body dealing with conditions it was never really built to handle on a regular Tuesday. New health issues would show up that doctors haven't even had to think about yet. Altitude sickness becoming a regular checkup topic instead of a rare hiking problem. Quick tangent, because this genuinely fascinates me. Some birds fly at altitudes so high and so cold that their bodies have special adaptations just to survive the trip. Thicker blood, better oxygen handling, stuff that took millions of years to develop. We'd basically be trying to skip that entire evolutionary homework assignment and just wing it. No pun intended. And honestly, mostly intended. And here's the darker math nobody wants to say out loud. Mortality rate would probably go up, not down. Falling from a height you can casually reach under your own power is a genuinely dangerous way to get around. And humans, some percentage of us, would absolutely try showing off. Flying too high, too fast, too close to power lines. And gravity doesn't really care how confident you're feeling in the moment. Insurance companies would have an absolute field day inventing new policy categories. Collision with birds would go from a rare plane incident to an actual, regular commuting hazard. Crime gets weirder too. On one hand, chasing down someone who can just fly away becomes a lot harder, so certain crimes probably get easier to get away with. On the other hand, you've just handed everyone on Earth an incredibly efficient way to break into places that used to be safe purely because they were high up. That fourth floor apartment you picked specifically because it felt secure, suddenly a lot less secure. Window locks become a whole new industry, and accidents get an upgrade too, sometimes in a genuinely sweet way. Picture weddings happening in the sky, actual mid-air ceremonies, which sounds beautiful right up until someone's uncle, who never learned proper flight etiquette, drifts directly into the wedding cake that's somehow also airborne for some reason. We'd absolutely need some kind of floating airspaces, basically traffic lanes in the sky. Because right now, traffic already gets chaotic on the ground, where everyone's stuck moving in 2 dimensions. Add a third dimension to the chaos, and you'd need actual sky traffic controllers just to stop rush hour commuters from colliding with each other over the highway every single morning, probably waving little flags and yelling at people for merging without signaling. And let's not forget weather. Because right now, bad weather just means your flight gets delayed and you get stuck complaining in an airport lounge. In this world, bad weather means you, personally, a soft human body, getting tossed around by wind mid-commute with absolutely nowhere to land except wherever gravity decides is convenient. Rain would stop being a grab an umbrella problem and start being a genuine safety briefing topic, taught right there in flight studies class alongside takeoff form. Storm season would probably just mean half the population stays grounded for a week, working from home, except home is now also where you sleep because going outside is a legitimate weather hazard. So here's where it actually lands. The fantasy version, gliding next to birds, skipping the 13-hour flight entirely, genuinely sounds incredible. And some of it would be. But the real version comes with sunburn you can't escape, new health risks nobody's mapped out yet, and a legitimately higher chance of dying in a way that used to only happen to birds and very unlucky skydivers. And yet, honestly, watching that flock glide by one more time before you head inside, pack for tomorrow's flight, some tiny part of you still can't help but wonder what that would actually feel like. Not the version with sunburn and traffic lanes and nervous insurance agents, just the plain, simple version. Wind under your arms, no seatbelt sign, no middle seat, nothing between you and the sky except your own two shoulders doing something they were never quite built to do. Would it still be worth it, knowing everything you now know? Or is some part of that dream better left exactly where it is, up there with the birds, staying beautifully, safely, someone else's problem?